Okay, hello friends and welcome to my video lecture. Today we are going to start with a new topic called regulation of gene expression. Yesterday we completed with translation, so our protein synthesis part is over. So let us start with the next topic. Okay, regulation of gene expression. So this is your next topic. So now everybody remembers what are structural genes. Okay, so let us try to recollect during transcription. So in transcription there are two DNA strands, one is coding, one is template, and those two strands have different polarities, as you remember. Towards the 5' end of the coding strand is present the promoter, towards the 3' end of the coding strand is present the terminator, and between the promoter and the terminator regions are present the structural genes, correct? Also remember, I have already taught you what is polycistronic, monocistronic. If it is a prokaryotic organism, or if it is a prokaryote, then there will be many structural genes present between the promoter and terminator, so that is called polycistronic. Whereas if it is a eukaryote, there will be a single structural gene present between the promoter and terminator, that is called monocistronic. So structural gene, one structural gene is also called as cistron. So it is poly means many, mono is single, correct? Now what are we talking about over here? Regulation of gene expression. So those structural genes, or that structural gene which is present, what is the function of that gene? Basically it undergoes transcription and forms mRNA. mRNA undergoes translations to form a polypeptide. So now tell me one thing, are proteins continuously produced in a cell? Is transcription and translation continuously going on? Or at some points it is switched off also, then it is switched on also, or it is continuously going on? What do you think? See, first of all, transcription and translation requires a lot of energy, and the body will not unnecessarily waste energy. So transcription and translation or protein synthesis will only happen when the body needs proteins and they are not present. If the body already has enough proteins, then it is not going to do protein synthesis. So what are we going to learn over here is, when are the genes switched on, when are the structural genes switched on, and when are they switched off? What do I mean by switched on? So when I say that the gene is switched on, that means that that gene will be transcribed to form an mRNA. So when I am talking about the structural genes being switched on, that means that transcription will occur. And if transcription will occur, that means mRNA will be formed. If mRNA is formed, obviously translation will happen. If I am saying that the structural genes are switched off, that means those genes will not undergo transcription till they are told. Okay, so here I will write down transcription will not occur. Very important. So is this clear? What is the meaning of switched on, switched off? Switched on means the genes will undergo transcription. Switched off means structural genes will not undergo transcription. And if transcription occurs, then translation will definitely occur. Okay, is this clear? Now, so what happens is, suppose if I am giving the example of insulin. Insulin is an enzyme in the body. It controls your glucose level. Now insulin, since it is an enzyme, enzymes are all proteins. So to produce insulin, the cells present in the liver, islets of Langerhans, correct? Sorry, not in the liver, in the pancreas. The islet of Langerhans which are there, those islet of Langerhans cells do not continuously produce insulin. They will do protein synthesis only when insulin is required by the body. All the other times, the genes which produce those proteins, those genes are off. Only when insulin is required by the body and it is not there, only at that time they are turned on. So are you understanding what is regulation? You have to turn them off when not needed. You have to turn the genes on when needed. It doesn't mean that protein synthesis is going on and on. No. When we are studying, it seems like it is going on. No, only when it is needed it will happen, otherwise the body will close it. So there is that mechanism, how it is closed, how it is started, that we'll learn later on in a concept called as operon concept. So that is later on. Now let me give you the examples of gene expression. The best example of gene expression is in a bacteria called as E. coli. Okay, so I will just write it down. Everybody knows what E. coli is, Escherichia coli. It is a bacterium, so obviously it is a prokaryote. Okay, now E. coli is a bacterium and it requires glucose for its survival. Just as we require proteins, carbohydrates, fats as our nutrition sources, E. coli depends on glucose for its nutrition. It can only utilize glucose as food. It cannot utilize any other material. Are you getting me? So if E. coli is present somewhere in the surroundings, there is glucose, then that E. coli will absorb it and it will get energy from it. But if some other substances are present, proteins are present, other carbohydrates are present, E. coli cannot use it as a source of energy, except a carbohydrate called as lactose. So I will write down over here. Okay, glucose is very important for E. coli because it is the source of nutrition. Okay, suppose if glucose is not available in the surroundings, then E. coli can use another carbohydrate as a source of nutrition, and that carbohydrate is called as lactose. Everybody knows lactose. Lactose is a disaccharide, correct? But the problem is E. coli cannot directly take up lactose and get energy. It has to first break up lactose into glucose and galactose. I hope you remember. Lactose is digested in our body by an enzyme called as lactase, and it breaks up into glucose and galactose. Now obviously E. coli doesn't have the enzyme lactase. So what E. coli does is, whenever glucose is absent in the surrounding area but lactose is present and it requires energy, it will take that lactose inside the body. It will produce an enzyme which can break lactose into glucose and galactose. So E. coli will break lactose into glucose plus galactose. Now this galactose which is present, that is of no use to it, but this glucose which is present, it can use as a source of energy. So now this enzyme which was produced, so I will write down over here, this enzyme which is produced by the E. coli to break down lactose. Now that enzyme is also a protein because most of the enzymes are protein. Okay, then how is that protein produced inside the E. coli? Obviously through protein synthesis. So E. coli is also doing transcription and translation to produce that enzyme. Is that enzyme being continuously produced? No, it is produced only in one situation, when lactose is present and glucose is absent. If glucose is absent, do you need to produce this enzyme? No, because you don't have lactose to break it. Similarly, if glucose and lactose both are present, do you require this enzyme? No, because you already have glucose in the surrounding medium. Why would you want to break lactose? And other thing is, please remember, transcription and translation consume a large amount of energy. So lot of ATPs get used. Why would the body waste ATPs in that? Unnecessary, when glucose is available. So only in one condition the E. coli bacterium will produce that enzyme, and that condition is when only lactose is available as food and nothing else is available. So it will produce that enzyme, it will break lactose, and it will take that glucose as a source of energy. Galactose will not be used. So are you understanding how the gene is regulated? Obviously that gene which is producing that enzyme, that gene, that those structural genes which are present, they are undergoing transcription, they are forming mRNA, mRNA is undergoing translation, and finally this protein or this enzyme is being formed. So whenever lactose is not present, all those genes which are responsible, all the structural genes responsible for the production of enzyme are off. But when only lactose is present, all the genes are on. Are you understanding? Is this clear? So are you understanding what is regulation of gene expression? I will give you another example. In our body, I already gave you the example of insulin. In our body, okay, if you remember, a single cell zygote multiplies to form an embryo. You must have learned this in school. Then embryo develops into fetus, fetus then grows into an adult. So why are all these things happening at a specific time only? Why are they happening at a specific time? Why don't they happen continuously one after the other? Because the proteins which are responsible for this growth are produced at specific times. Why are these proteins produced at specific times? Because only when the genes which are responsible to produce those proteins are switched on will the proteins be formed. Otherwise, all the other times those genes are switched off. So that is another example of regulation of gene expression. So are you getting it? The structural genes are not always on. They are not always undergoing transcription. Most of the times they are off. They will be on only when the body will need them. Is this clear? Is E. coli clear? Now the name of the enzyme which breaks lactose into glucose and galactose is very important. The name of the enzyme is, so what I will do is I will just I'll just scroll down so that we have space, and the name of the enzyme is beta galactosidase. So I will write down over here beta galactosidase. This is the enzyme which breaks down the lactose into glucose and galactose. Is this clear? Is this concept of regulation of gene expression clear? Now in your book, in the last paragraph of this topic, regulation of gene expression, they have explained what are inducer enzymes, what is an inducer, what is a repressor. All that I will explain when we are studying the operon. Right now if I try to explain, you will get confused. So right now, have you understood all the points? Have you understood how E. coli regulates protein synthesis? It will do protein synthesis only when it needs to break down lactose and glucose is not available. Is this clear? When I talk about regulation of gene expression, which genes I am talking about? Regulatory genes. Why regulatory genes? Because they will undergo transcription, and if transcription occurs, mRNA will undergo translation, protein will be formed, enzyme will be formed. Clear? Now the next topic in your book is something called as the operon concept. Okay, so first of all, let us come to this word which is called as operon. Unfortunately, your textbook doesn't define what an operon is. They have just started with operon, its structure, what all are present. First of all, at least explain what is an operon. So what is an operon? The definition of an operon is a group of genes having similar functions are together called as operon. To make this definition better, I will write a group of structural genes having similar functions are together called as operon. Is this clear? Okay, so first of all, tell me, is the operon present in eukaryotes or prokaryotes? What do you think by looking at this definition? Just think. The definition says group of structural genes having similar function. Eukaryotes have only one structural gene. In their DNA, they have only one structural gene at one time. So they are all monocystronic. So is an operon present in eukaryote? No. Prokaryotes, in one DNA, they have multiple structural genes. They are polycystronic. So operon is present in prokaryotes. Okay, for example, I will draw the diagram over here. If you want to see, this is the mRNA of a eukaryote. This is 5 prime, this is 3 prime, and suppose this area, this entire area, I am showing one single structural gene. This is promoter area, this is terminator. If I want to show a prokaryotic mRNA, then how am I going to show? So let me rub this off. So again 5 prime, 3 prime. In case of prokaryotes, single structural gene will not be produced, multiple will be produced. So I can use different colors. This is the first structural gene, this is the second structural gene, this is the third structural gene. So 3 structural genes present. But this is in which mRNA? This is present in prokaryotic mRNA. So these are called as polycistronic. Many cistrons, many structural genes. This is called as monocistronic. So you know what is another difference? This will undergo transcription, this monocistronic, to form one mRNA, and that one mRNA will be translated to form one protein. I am talking about protein, not polypeptide, one protein. Whereas prokaryotic mRNA, since it is polycistronic, that all the genes will be transcribed together, they will also form only one mRNA. But when mRNA is translated, they will form 3 proteins. So in eukaryotic cell, at one time, that single cistron will form only one protein, whereas in prokaryotic cell, those 3 cistrons will form 3 proteins. Both cases, only one mRNA will be only formed. But I have also told you why this is the case, because prokaryotic cell have only one cell, so all the proteins have to be formed by that same cell. Is this clear? Okay, so these 3 genes together, they can be called as an operon, because all 3 will have more or less similar functions. Is this clear? Group of structural genes or cistrons having similar functions are together called as operon. So this entire part is called as operon. Clear? Okay. Now we are going to start with the structure of an operon. Okay. So now in your book, this part they have given very confusing theory. So see, first they have to explain a general concept of operon. There are many different types of operons in prokaryotes. Out of them you have to learn only one. Okay, you have to learn lactose operon. That is what is there. I will explain that to you. There are many types. There is tryptophan operon, many other. But first in your textbook they are supposed to explain the general structure of an operon. So all the operons in the prokaryotes will have that structure only, and then they have to explain lactose operon. But in your book they have mixed up everything and they have given it is confusing. So stick to this video, watch this video, you will understand it, then you can read from the textbook, you will understand what is given. So first of all, I am going to start with the topic which is called as the operon concept, or concept of the operon. So I have already told you what operon is. Group of structural genes or cistrons having similar functions, they are together called as operon. All the genes together are called as operon, not separately each one is operon. All of them together are called as operon. Okay, now I am going to draw the structure of an operon. That is the general structure of how all the operons are. Okay, now the structure of an operon is just like the double-stranded DNA molecule which is going to undergo translation. So everything is the same. Okay, should I start? Okay, now so I am going to start drawing the structure. Okay, so this is the segment of DNA. Okay, now I am not going to write coding strand, okay, template strand. It is understood this is coding, this is template, this is 5 to 3, this is 3 to 5. This is 5 to 3 and this is 5 to 3. Correct, but I am not going to write the polarity. During operon diagrams you don't write polarity. Now if you remember, there is promoter and there is terminator. Correct. Here, now just remember, there is a gene which is present over here, okay, which is called as gene I, small I. First I will tell you, I will explain it to you. Okay, so this is called as the gene I, and this gene is also called as the regulatory gene. Okay, next to this regulatory gene is a gene which is called as, so I'll just shift this up, and that gene which is present next to the regulatory gene is called as the P site. Okay, now this is not a gene, this is just an area, and this area is called as the promoter area. Okay, so up till now you have only learned about promoter, terminator and structural genes. Now there is something called as regulatory gene which is present before the promoter. This I am talking in prokaryotes. Okay, Now next to the promoter is present an area which is called as the operator area. So this green area which I am drawing, this is called as the operator area. And after the operator, so operator short form can be written as O, okay, promoter is P. So already since I have drawn it over here, I will not rub it and write down promoter. So short form of promoter is P, short form of operator is O, and here only I is written, okay. Anyway, so this is operator area. Next come the structural genes, okay. Now structural genes in prokaryotes can be many, okay, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, many. So this area will be represented by structural genes, which I am going to show with yellow color. So suppose there are 4 structural genes, so I will write down over here structural gene A, structural gene B, structural gene C. Since I have space, I will continue structural gene D, structural gene E, and structural gene F. Now what about the terminator? Normally when we are drawing the operon, we don't show the terminator, but obviously the terminator is present over here. Okay, you might ask why, but that is how operons are shown. Operons never show the terminator diagram. So if you look at the operon, you can see the promoter over here, you can see this structural genes or cistrons over here, and the terminator is present over here, which we have not drawn. So this is just like that DNA double-stranded molecule which is going to undergo transcription. Think of this upper line as the coding strand, this lower line as the template strand. So this is your structure of the operon. Every operon will have this structure. Now let me explain. What is the function of the regulatory gene? First of all, let me label this part. All these are your structural genes. So all these genes together are called as operon. Are you getting me? Okay. All these are together called as operon. They will have similar functions. These are called structural genes, or these are also called as cistrons. You know that, correct? Now you already know the function of this. This will undergo transcription to form the mRNA. You know the function of promoter. This is where the RNA polymerase, which RNA polymerase? DNA dependent RNA polymerase attaches. Why DNA dependent? Because you want to make mRNA from DNA, correct? You know this. So you know the function of this, you know the function of this. Terminator is not given, you know transcription stops over there. Sigma rho also, you know, sigma factor identifies promoter, rho factor identifies terminator. Now what is this gene I and what is this operator? Now this is also a gene. It is not called as a structural gene, but this gene I, which is also called as a regulatory gene, that gene basically is like the structural genes. This gene also undergoes transcription, but the difference is that the structural genes are not always on. That means they will not always be undergoing transcription. Suppose if I say that this entire operon is off, that means that these structural genes will not undergo transcription. Now you know off means no transcription, on means transcription is there. But even when the operon is off, still this gene will continue to undergo transcription. This gene is always doing protein synthesis. It will always produce mRNA, it will always produce a protein, irrespective of the fact whether the operon is off or not. So now this gene I will undergo a process called as, you know the process is called as transcription, and it will produce what? It will produce an mRNA. Now mRNA I am showing like this. And finally this mRNA will undergo what? It will undergo translation, and it will form what? It will form a protein. You know this? See, is this clear? Now suppose if I want to show this protein, as I will choose some other color, I will show this red color. So I will rub this off and I will just write it down, protein. And imagine this is the protein. Okay, this is the protein. This shape is the protein. Now what happens is, this protein which is formed, it quickly goes and this protein attaches to the operator region. Okay, so what is happening is, up till now, this gene which is present, it is not a structural gene, it is called as a regulatory gene. This regulatory gene by default is always on. It will undergo transcription, it will form mRNA, mRNA will undergo translation and form a protein, and this protein which is formed, it is called as a repressor protein. What do you mean by repressor? Repress means to stop something. Okay, so when you say that don't try to repress somebody, don't try to stop someone, so that is called repressor. So what is this protein going to stop? This protein, when it is formed, it goes and attaches to this operator region. So this goes and attaches itself over here like this. Are you getting my point? So by default, this repressor protein is continuously produced, and so continuously produced means it is produced and it goes and it is attached to the operator. If for some reason this protein is damaged, another protein will be formed, repressor, and it will attach here. Now what is the problem? See, your DNA dependent RNA polymerase, suppose if I want to show it with a blue color, okay, I am going to use a blue color for that DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Suppose this is your DNA dependent RNA polymerase molecule. I had shown the RNA polymerase with the same color earlier also during transcription. Now problem is, for this to undergo transcription, this will move like this, 5' to 3', you know the RNA polymerase moves. But can this go ahead? No, because this repressor protein is blocking the path of the RNA polymerase. This repressor protein is blocking the DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So the polymerase cannot go ahead. If the polymerase cannot go ahead, can it help in this transcription? No, because DNA dependent RNA polymerase is responsible for transcription, because without that the two DNA strands will not separate. So this repressor protein is blocking this, and because of this, transcription of the structural genes will not occur. Are you understanding why? So here I will write down no transcription, because RNA polymerase has been blocked by the repressor protein, and if there is no transcription, then there will be no proteins formed. Is this clear? Okay, is this clear? So have you understood what a repressor is? Suppose if the operon, whatever this operon is, suppose if it wants to form the proteins, then what will they have to do? They will have to stop this repressor protein from binding over here. So how can they do that? So at this time, when the repressor is bound over here, I can say that the operon is in off position. So I will write down over here in this right now situation, operon is off. Why? Because the structural genes cannot undergo transcription, they are off. If I want to turn it out, what can I do? I will have to stop this repressor from getting attached over here. How can I do that? Very simple. You can see this active site. You know enzymes have an active site. If I attach, okay, if I attach some kind of a molecule like an inhibitor over here, if I attach something, so that when I attach that thing over here, the shape of the repressor will change, and if the repressor shape changes, then it cannot attach over here, because this surface and this surface are complementary. So if I change the shape of this repressor, it will not attach. If this doesn't attach, this RNA polymerase can go and it can transcribe. So when that happens, I will say that the operon is on. Are you understanding? I am just explaining the basic structure of an operon. So what do you have to remember in the operon concept? You have to remember what every operon is made up of. So what are the different things which are present? First is present the regulatory gene. Okay, what is the function of the regulatory gene? The function of the regulatory gene is that it is always on. It will produce an mRNA, and that mRNA will produce a protein called as repressor protein. So this mRNA is also called repressor mRNA. What is the function of the repressor protein? It binds to the operator. Anyway, going ahead. Next, after the regulatory gene, gene I, it is called as gene I. That is a short form. Is present the P area, which is the promoter. What is the function of the promoter? That is where the RNA polymerase binds. You know that. That is the same function. After that is present the operator. Operator region is very, very important because this is where the repressor protein binds. If the repressor protein binds over here, that means the RNA polymerase is blocked. If it is not bound over here, that means transcription will happen because RNA polymerase can go ahead. And after the operator are present your regulatory genes. Some operons may have only 3 genes, some may have 5 genes, some may have more. So here I have just added space, so I drew A, B, C, D, E, F. You can draw as many as you want. And finally there will be terminator where the RNA polymerase will stop, transcription will get over. Is this clear? Now when obviously the operon is on, at that time what is going to happen is, so here I will show that change. I will show this green color molecule attaching over here, and because of that what is happening is the shape of this is changing, and because the shape is changing, now this repressor cannot bind over here, and since the repressor cannot bind over here, what is going to happen is this RNA polymerase which is present, that RNA polymerase will go ahead and it will transcribe the structural gene. So I can show over here mRNA, correct? So a single mRNA will be present, transcription. This is when the repressor is stopped by this molecule, correct? I will tell you about that. And then this mRNA will undergo translation and it will produce 5 proteins. So depending upon the number of genes, those many number of proteins will be produced. So protein number 1, protein number 2, 3, 4 and 5, and those will be produced through translation. Is this clear? So have you understood what is operon off, what is operon on? Have you understood the structure of an operon? Every operon will have this structure. This molecule, now I will tell you, this molecule which gets the operon to an on position, this molecule is called as the inducer molecule. Inducer means it induces or it starts the operon. Do you get me? Why is this called as the repressor? Because it stops the operon. Inducer starts, repressor stops. Clear? So only this inducer will come in when these structural genes need to form the protein. When the structural genes do not need to form the protein, the inducer will be absent, and because the inducer will absent, repressor will get attached to the operator. Is this clear? This is your operon concept. Now if you have understood this, I have to teach you an example of an operon which is called as the lactose operon. So let us start with the lactose operon. Okay, and everything, if you have understood this, is the same, except obviously now there will be structural genes, the names. Okay, so now let us start with the operon which is called as the lac operon. Now you will think, what is lac? So the lactose operon is the full form and short form is lac operon. Lactose, lac. Now you remember, so we are studying this lactose operon in E. coli. Okay, I have already told you how lactose is needed. I have told you the enzyme which breaks lactose, beta galactosidase, okay, into glucose galactose. When will the enzyme be produced? Only when lactose is present, glucose is absent. If glucose is present anytime, lactose operon will not be on, it will always be off. So lactose operon only becomes on when glucose is absent and lactose is present. In all the other cases, lactose operon is off. Clear? Now let us draw this operon. Okay, so I will draw 2 diagrams. First is when the operon is off, second is when the operon is on. Okay, now first, this lactose operon, I will tell you, okay, I will draw only so that it becomes easy. So first condition is when the operon is off. So let me write down condition 1, lac operon is equal to off, so it is shut down. Now let us have a look at the diagram. The diagram which I had shown, operon ka diagram, correct? The first area is called as the regulatory gene, so directly I am going to write down over here gene I. Okay, this is the regulatory gene. Why is it called regulatory? Because it is regulating. See, It is regulating the operon. It is keeping the operon off. The repressor protein is keeping the operon off, so it is regulating. It is basically stopping. It is also responsible for starting, so it is called as regulator. Gene I. Next, what will be the area? I told you there will be the region called as the promoter region. So promoter I am drawing as this red area. After that will be present the operator area. So operator I am showing as O. Now will be present the structural genes. Always remember, in lac operon there are only 3 structural genes, and the name of those genes are, so I will draw them in green. They are called as the first, so I will divide this area into 3 parts, correct, because after structural genes there is nothing else. So the first gene is called as LAC-Z, second structural gene is called LAC-Y, and the third is called LAC-A. Please remember, these are the letters to be used. Don't use your own letters X, Y, Z or anything. LAC-Z, LAC-Y, LAC-A. Whoever found this operon has given these letters, so you have to use the same letters, correct? Okay, now what is this yellow area? Let us write down over here. This is your regulatory gene. What is the red area? The red area is the promoter. What is the blue area? The blue area is the operator. And what are these 3 green areas? These 3 genes are called as your structural genes, or also called as cistrons. Is there a terminator? In operon we don't show terminator, it is obviously present. So समझा? क्लियर है? ओपेरॉन का डायग्राम से ही ये डायग्राम निकाला है. सो क्या याद रखना है इसमें? LAC-Z, LAC-Y, LAC-A. नाउ फर्स्ट कंडीशन इज लैक ओपेरॉन इज ऑफ. नाउ द सेम थिंग, regulatory gene is always on by default. So what is it going to do? It is going to undergo transcription. So I will write down over here, it will undergo transcription. It will form what? It will first form mRNA. So this is called as repressor mRNA. Repressor I have written in short. And this will then undergo what? It will undergo translation, and it is going to form what? It is going to form the repressor protein. Is this clear? So I am going to show the repressor protein over here. This is your repressor protein. So I will write down, I will just scroll this, repressor protein. Now what will happen? So when is the LAC operon off? So okay, let me tell you what these 3 genes do so that you understand. Now these 3 genes, okay, LAC-Z, LAC-Y, LAC-A, when they are transcribed, what happens is, see, forget this part, I'm just telling you, suppose if the operon is on. So what will happen is, when these are on, they will basically form an mRNA, correct? And the mRNA will undergo translation and it will form 3 genes, okay? It will form 3 proteins. The first protein formed is called as beta galactosidase. This you know, this protein basically breaks down the lactose. The second protein formed is called as beta galactoside permease, okay? And the third protein or the enzyme formed is called as okay, I will just have to move this slightly on this side, acetylase, or the other name of this enzyme is beta galactoside acetylase acetyltransferase. So this name is also clear. So basically when the operon is off, right now it is obviously off, but when it is on, that time these 3 structural genes will form one mRNA, and mRNA will translate to form these 3 proteins. Why am I telling you? Because I want to tell you the functions of this. Beta galactoside, as you know, it will break down lactose into glucose, galactose, so the cell will get, E. coli will get glucose. This beta galactoside permease is basically an enzyme which keeps small quantity. This enzyme is always present in the cell. Even when the operon is off, this permease enzyme is always present in small quantities. What is the function of this enzyme? It helps the lactose to come inside the cell. So this enzyme is giving permission, or it is allowing the lactose which is present outside to come inside the cell. See, without this enzyme, lactose cannot enter the cell. Just like inside our cell, glucose cannot come in till insulin allows it. Similarly, in E. coli, lactose cannot come inside till this enzyme is present. Please remember, this enzyme, first one and this last one, are present only when operon is on. But this enzyme is present always. Small quantity is always present. You will come to know why. Okay. Now, this enzyme which is there, which is called as the transacetylase, that enzyme is basically transferring the coenzyme A. You know acetyl coenzyme A, we have studied it in respiration. So that coenzyme A is transferred from acetyl coenzyme A to beta galactosidase enzyme, because for working of beta galactosidase it requires coenzyme A. So that is not important. So now, first of all, tell me, when will you need these three enzymes? You will need these three enzymes when lactose is present and glucose is absent. Correct. If glucose is present, you don't need this enzyme, directly cell will use. Correct. So these three will be produced only when lactose is present outside the cell, glucose is not present. Suppose if glucose is present, then you will not need these proteins, you will not need these enzymes. So when glucose is present and when the cell has glucose, at that time this operon will be off. So how will it be off? Now again coming to the same thing, this repressor protein which is present, that will go and bind to this operator site. As soon as it binds to the operator site over here, what happens is, over here is present your RNA polymerase, but that RNA polymerase cannot go ahead because it is blocked. So in this case, what will happen? Will there be any transcription? No, there will be no transcription. If there is no transcription, will there be translation? There will be no translation also. So I will write down no proteins or no enzymes will be produced. So if no enzymes will be produced, the operon will be off because the structural genes are off. Structural genes are off because this RNA polymerase is not able to come here. Na? They will be on only when they form the mRNA. So this condition, lac operon off, is when glucose is present outside the cell, or glucose is already present inside the cell, or glucose is absent but lactose is also absent. So then why would you want to produce this? These enzymes will only help in breaking down lactose. Are you understanding? So what are the conditions when the lac operon will be off, when the structural genes will be off? First is when the cell has enough glucose. Second is the surroundings of the cells have glucose. The environment of the cell has glucose. Outside the cell there is glucose. And third is when lactose is absent, okay, and glucose is also absent. So when both are absent also, it will not be produced. Now let us come to the part when will this operon be on. This operon will be on when the E. coli requires energy. It doesn't have energy, it requires glucose, and glucose is also not present anywhere, not also in the cell and not outside the cell, but lactose is present outside the cell. So at that time the lac operon will be on because it needs the proteins to break that lactose and get energy. Are you understanding? So what will happen when the lac operon is on? Now see, I will rub this off. So here I will write down lac operon is equal to on. Now look at the condition. Again the same thing. This gene I, it is always on, it will produce the mRNA, repressor protein will go and bind to the operator normally. But now, what is the condition? Lactose is present outside the cell, everything else is absent. So the E. coli requires energy. So now just listen to what I am saying. What will happen is, what had I told you? These three enzymes which are produced, beta galactosidase, beta galactoside permease and transacetylase. Out of those three, which one enzyme is always present in small quantities? Beta galactoside permease. What does it do? It gives permission for the lactose to enter the E. coli cell. So now that permease enzyme will bring small amount of lactose from outside the cell to inside because lactose is present outside. So now I am going to draw that lactose in which color? Should I use red color? So that lactose molecule will come inside the cell. Why will it come? Because of that permease enzyme. Okay, it is always present in small quantities, only to start the operon from off position. Now this lactose will go and bind to this area, or it will bind over here as I am showing. As soon as the lactose binds over here, or it binds over here, what is going to happen is this repressor cannot bind because its shape has changed. What has changed the shape? The lactose has changed the shape. So now the shape of the repressor protein has been changed, and if the shape of the repressor protein is changed, then this repressor protein becomes inactive. मतलब इट इज ऑफ नो यूज, अभी उसका कुछ काम नहीं है, उसका शेप चेंज हो गया, वो ऑपरेटर को अटैच ही नहीं हो सकता. किसने किया ये चेंज? लैक्टोज. ये लैक्टोज मॉलिक्यूल अंदर कैसे आया? वो परमिएज एंजाइम ने उसको परमिशन दिया. सो दिस लैक्टोज मॉलिक्यूल इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज इंड्यूसर, because it is going to start the operon now, because now these RNA polymerase will go, transcription will occur, translation will occur. Are you getting my point? समझ रहे आपको ये क्या बोल रहा हूं मैं? बहुत सिंपल है. Now in your book they have given that this lactose is basically an isomer of lactose called as allolactose. So if you want, you can remember it is an isomer of lactose, allolactose, same thing. So this lactose which comes in is the inducer. Inducers always start the operon. And which is the inducer enzyme? The inducer enzyme is your beta galactoside permease, because it is allowing the inducer to come in. Just imagine, you don't have beta galactosidase, you don't have trans acetylase, but you have that permease enzyme. If permease would not have been there, the operon would always have been off, E. coli would have died. But because that permease is always present in the cell, when such condition occurs that the cell needs energy and lactose is only present, that time it takes some amount of lactose from outside, gets it in, attaches, then that lactose will go and attach to the repressor. Just like an inhibitor, it will inhibit this protein. You know what inhibitor does, and it will change the shape of the protein. If the protein shape changes, it cannot bind to the operator. If operator is not bound, DNA dependent RNA polymerase will now do what? It will do transcription. So now I can show that diagram, correct? Now it will form what? It will form the mRNA. See, all will form a common mRNA. There will not be 3 mRNAs. And that mRNA will undergo what? It will undergo translation. Over here, what should I write? Transcription. And after translation, it will form 3 enzymes. First is beta galactosidase. Second enzyme is beta galactoside. Very, very important enzyme, permease. And the third is trans acetylase. Here I am writing always present. These 2 enzymes are present only when the operon is on, then they are again quickly used up. Now what will happen? As soon as these enzymes are formed, this enzyme, this protein will break the lactose. Already lactose is coming inside the cell because of this. The other lactose which comes in, that will be broken by this enzyme into what? So that lactose which is coming in, that lactose will be broken down into glucose plus galactose. And what will happen to the glucose? That will be used as energy. Finished. So again more glucose will be produced. All the lactose will suddenly be converted into glucose. So now there will be no lactose. There will be much large amount of glucose. Again what will happen? Since the lactose is over, see, these cannot remain attached for a long time. So what will happen is, again after the glucose is present, because lactose has been converted, lactose is over. So again, since lactose is over, this last molecule will also be converted into glucose by this enzyme. Then now since no lactose is left, now this will again regain its shape. It will go and attach over here. As soon as it attaches, this transcription will stop, translation will stop, these enzymes will stop, but this will remain. Again, as these enzymes stop, lactose will not be converted. Anyway, lactose is not present. So game over. Are you understanding this? So you are understanding how the operon is off, on, off, on. This operon is basically called as negative control. Okay, so when we talk about lac operon, we say that this is called as negative control of lac operon, because by default this operon is always off, because by default this repressor protein always attaches to the operator and keeps it off. So that is why this is called as negative control of lac operon. It will be on only when lactose is present, glucose is absent, and that lactose comes in. Only at that time it will be on, otherwise it is always off. So this lac operon is called, by default it is negative control. Is this clear? Have you understood this part? So I have taught you. So in your book there are two diagrams. There is a first diagram where they are showing repressor is attached over here and the operon is off. Second diagram they are showing the inducer attached, which is the inducer enzyme beta galactoside, because it is calling that lactose inside. Is this clear? So have you understood? Now in the last part they have explained what is the role of lactose. What is the role of lactose? So basically your lactose is acting as an inducer. Who is calling the lactose? The beta-galactoside permease is calling the lactose, and that lactose is going and binding to the repressor to stop the repressor from binding to the operator. So it is like an inducer. It is starting. So starting matlab to induce. It is starting the operon from an off position. If lactose wouldn't have been there, this operon would always have been off. So do you understand the role of lactose? Do you understand the role of permease? Okay, so friends, that's the end of today's lecture. We have completed with gene expression, regulation, and the operon structure. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, please let me know on phone, or you can comment on my YouTube video. Homework questions I will give you on the group.